Okay, well, welcome everyone. I thought it might be interesting to go through the many pictures I've done in the last 100 days. Well over 100, I think, because as you'll see as we get near to the end, I've painted on the backs of everything as well, trying to keep my paper input to a minimum while I learned what I was doing. Anyway, a lot of my early stuff was swooped up by my daughter and my niece, who seem to be very appreciative of what I do, although probably not art critics, let's be honest. So I thought we just could whiz through. I'm going to just comment on what I felt about the pictures or what I realised I could have done better, just for your information. And I hope you enjoy it. Won't take long. Let's get going. I spared you all the really early ones, which were, me trying to work out wet on wet and get some sort of grip of water control, something that I'm still struggling with, as you'll see in the next video where I show you a painting from start to finish. But, I've learned ways of coping with that. So this is an attempt to copy a picture that I've actually got that was owned by someone who also painted one in the Agatha Christie collection. It's a lovely watercolour, but it's faded now, so I'm trying to recreate it, and you'll see this as a recurring theme as we go along. This is the boat that lives outside my house. I'm always trying to paint it, but it's a really tricky shape. So I've become a little bit obsessed with boats, as you'll see. This is my first attempt at painting from a value study. So I did the value study. It's my favourite beach in Greece, and I'm pretty pleased with the water. And the houses are all higgledy-piggledy, completely wrong shapes. I was quite pleased. I got my rigger brush that morning, so I was quite pleased with the spiky twigs at the bottom, although I realised I had a bit of work to do on my rocks. This was also from a value study, and it's a hilltop, it's the gorge in Greece where I go, and lovely old church up there, which I'm really trying to capture here. But I've never painted trees as well. That was my first attempt at trees. I was quite pleased with the olive leaves, but I wasn't very pleased with the perspective on the church. As you can see, that's all very wonky and higgledy-piggledy. But first attempt. And then I painted my first still life in the style of Chris Petrie, because I like Chris Petrie's paintings a lot. And they're very pretty. And I wanted to capture my Mother's Day flowers and card from my daughter in a painting that I could then give her on her birthday, because I love the colours so much and they match the sofa. And I was quite pleased with the Venetian blinds. That was quite a loose sort of rendition there, the Venetian blinds. I was quite pleased with the way they came out. This is my favourite town in Greece. It's Areopolis, and this is the baker's shop. And there's a beautiful old set of stairs with an archway and some massive bougainvillea. I've painted this several times. You'll see it crop up again, I'm sure. But I was quite pleased with the way the rocks turned out in the stone wall there. And my perspectives all over the shop. I'm well aware of that. But it was my first car. See down here, I've got a little car. My first car I'd ever painted. So that was good. And then I went to Mexico and I sat and spent a very lovely day in a ceviche bar, drinking white wine and eating ceviche and painting the sea, which was the most incredible mix of colours. It was just amazing. Trying to get those shade things right was really hard. They were all wicker and bamboo, and it was lovely wood, but it was all different colours. And that was really hard, but I had a lovely day doing it, so that's the main thing. And this is one of the paintings that I did right at the beginning that I was most pleased with. My niece had it away to frame it. It's just a Greek beach. It's just from a picture, but I loved the way the water came out, and I thought the trees are still terrible. Cypress trees are the easiest, but I was quite pleased with some of the lost and found edges on the houses there. So that really encouraged me to keep going. And this was the card I did for my daughter. It took me an inordinate amount of time to paint it, but I was really quite pleased with it, and she loved it. So that with the picture that I'm going to show you at the end, I think. And this was one where I was painting, I think it was from a Chris Petrie tuition, and I absolutely loved the way it came out. The sky I thought was, I really loved that. And my trees got a bit better for a little while. And I love the water sitting on the sand. But the thing I'm finding that is I can't connect to imaginary landscapes at all. I need to be painting something that's actually real so that I can try and capture how I feel about the landscape. And when I'm painting something imaginary, I just don't feel the same about it. I can follow tuitions and they usually come out really good. Well, relatively, but I can't connect to them on an emotional level. So I tend to end up not caring as much about them and making stupid mistakes. So I'm not concentrating so hard. This one is a photographer I found. I think it's Salt and Sand, or might be Salt and Sea. Anyway, she's an amazing photographer and artist, and I tried to paint one of her photographs here. And we'll whiz through the rest, okay? Another picture of Stupa, not too bad, a bit fuzzy. Terrible sunset. I'm finding sunsets a real struggle. This is the Blue Doors, and yeah, no, it didn't come out very well. And on the back of that, I painted my first dog and figure. This was in Greece, in the Marni. I'm not finished that one, I don't think. I can't get the values right. This is another picture of a beach with a stormy sky, but it all went horribly wrong up the top. My attempt to paint apples, not very good at all. My attempt to paint trees, jugs were quite nice. I think I was practicing for my daughter's still life on that one. I went horribly wrong with this one. Top right, 3 columns, shouldn't be there, those arches. This was me trying to connect to a landscape. I don't like painting landscapes. I decided after several attempts, I just don't care about them. Never been there. This was a real picture from a real place in Greece that I go to. Not really loving it. Trees attempting to get better. Too much water, not enough water control. Look at it. Oh, another picture of the twigs floating down the river. That's my view from my house, and I'm always trying to paint it badly. And that's trying to follow an Oliver Pyle tuition. Love Oliver. That's again my view from my window. That's about the best one I've done so far. This looks like a very large dog kennel, but it was actually a barn. This is when I was trying to do a Chris Petrie. I bought Chris's book, and that's one of the pictures from his book, and it's lovely. This is a statue I've got at my house. Didn't come out too bad, but something wrong with the wood. I became obsessed with boats at this point because I found them really hard to draw, and then I got that one right, and I loved the reflection, so I started painting boats. That's another place in Greece I go to. It's Kardamili, and I have several attempts at this. This is Stupa Bay from the harbour arm. The rocks came out quite well on that one. Another go at painting the tower in Kardamili. Another go at painting a tuition one, which came out all right, but didn't really feel anything about it. My first melon, that was Yong Chen tuition, highly recommended. Right, let's just slow this down a bit because here is where I came across Scott Swinson. And Scott Swinson, I realised I painted really tight and neat after doing all those Cardamili Tower pictures. So I realised I need to try and loosen up, and I also needed to work on my skies. So I went and did, Scott Swinson's got some, he's an Australian or New Zealand painter, I'm not sure which, but he's got some incredible, affordable tuition courses, and they really get you going on skies. He's really big, bold, swooping movements, lots of colour in his skies, and definitely working through his course has helped me create better skies. So I was quite pleased with this one. This is the best one of the Cardamili Tower I've done so far, and I've managed it by stripping out all the vegetation because I'm not very good at vegetation yet. So there's a bit of a tree up the top left there, but there should be bougainvillea over these walls, and I just couldn't face it. Now, the other thing that's wrong with this picture is it's very hard to get the values right looking through that archway into the dark part. And I've realised that the reason it looks odd is because there's nothing to show what's making it dark there. And it's actually, there is a house above that wall, which makes it all in shadow. So by leaving out the difficult house, because it was all looking too jumbled and I was trying to tidy it up, by leaving out the house that casts the shadow, it looks really odd that there's a shadowy bit there with nothing to cast the shadow. The other thing I got wrong with this one was, see on that right-hand wall there, where there's actual light where there should be dark, because the only light should be the light coming through that archway. So at some point I'm going to have another go at this because it's just the most gorgeous picture and composition I've ever come across. And the stonework is just gorgeous. So as soon as I become a bit more competent, then I'm going to have another go at it, possibly using a sort of Thomas Schaller wash kind of thing, because I've got some Daniel Smith paints now, so I might have a go at it. But the sky's not bad, and I think that that you do get the light, the impression of the light coming through the archway, just not around that corner on the right. It shouldn't be. Right, so this was my first attempt at a figure and a shadow and birds, and I was quite pleased with it. Um, Overworking, that's another thing I do. I overwork things like hills and things, but not too bad overall, I don't think. Scott Swinson's inspired sky. Really, another go at a sunset. I'm trying to do a Scott Swinson sky and sunset, and actually, if you're looking for the end of the world, it's not too bad. But this is my favourite place in Greece. You'll see this is a recurring theme. I was trying to do the house and the harbour arm so that they had soft edges and they faded out, and even though they were in the foreground, they weren't the whole point of the picture was the sunset. But I'll have another go because I love sunsets and I love Stupa. So there we go. Right. This was a value study in Scott Swinson's course, and I really rather liked the way it came out. I thought some of the reflections weren't bad, sky wasn't bad, mountains overworked, especially that one on the left. But I'm definitely getting bolder with my colours, so that was a bit of a turning point, that one. And you can see on the backs of all the failed pictures. Oh, this is me trying to recreate the watercolor that I have, the one that was painted by the guy who also painted one of the pictures in Agatha Christie's collection. And I was quite pleased with the sky because I'm determined to crack it. I love Turner and I love Venice, and I've never been there, but I really love to paint it. Oh, this was just tragic. Look at my hands. Look, what's happened here? What happened here was that tree. This was quite hard actually. It's sitting in a taverna called the Five Brothers, looking across the road to the beach in Stupa, and I sort of got all the proportions right, ruined it with the sunset, and then decided to cover that up with a tree. It's how I don't know what's the tree doing. It's just clunky and ugly. I struggle with trees, I really do. But I was also trying to capture the greeny grey that happens at the sunset time. The sea goes this amazing greeny grey colour. So you'll see me attempt to catch that. And that pot of whatever that is sitting outside the Five Brothers. I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't do your plants justice. But we'll keep trying. Again, Scott Swinson inspired. Really trying. I can't remember. I think definitely the sky was this. I was pleased with the sky. I was quite pleased with the water. I was quite pleased with the sand. And then I realised I'd done a whole brace of triangular mountains that they would never look like that in real life. But I think it's getting a bit more subtle, the colouring, isn't it? So I was quite pleased with that overall. And definitely a niece or a daughter's had that one away to put on their wall. Right, this was where I bought a few books. I've got Roland Hilda, starting with watercolour, and I've got The Art of Watercolour by Ray Campbell Smith, because some painters on YouTube were recommending them as really being foundational to their growth as a painter. And I thought, okay, well, let's paint some of their things then. And there were some quite cute little paintings. So I thought, and they have, step by step. So I thought, let's try that, because it's a real pain trying to stop videos and start them again and then having to sign into your computer again as you're painting, you may have noticed. So I thought books might be the answer. So I've got Oliver Pyle's Taking Your Water. What's it called? It's called Watercolour by Oliver Pyle. And it's absolutely beautiful. I can't recommend this book highly enough if you want to get inspired to paint the British landscape. But he only does a few of them step by step. And this wasn't one of them. This was one of someone else's. Not sure which one, but it was either Hilda or Campbell Smith. And I realised as I was painting it that I really don't care about little cottages. I like looking at pictures of little cottages, and I appreciate the brilliance of painting little cottages, but unless I'm actually there, I just don't care. And then it was going quite well in a sort of cottagey sort of style. And then I realised I put the shadow in completely the wrong place. The light is coming. Where's the light coming from? It's coming from over my right hand shoulder, I think. So the shadow is pointing in the wrong direction. It's pointing towards me rather than away from me. But apart from that, I thought it was quite a competent little painting for a novice, but ruined it with that shadow right at the end. Let me tell you briefly about my quest for the perfect notebook, the perfect sketchbook to take out with me. I'm on my fourth one now, and my main complaint about all of them is that they're not good enough in terms of the paper. This is the best so far. It's a Jackson's art sketchbook, and it's got really quite nice thick paper in it, but it's still, I don't think, 100% cotton because it buckles. And having said that, though, I did manage to do this one after, I think this was about the third or fourth picture I did in a day after doing loads of Scott Swinson stuff. And I've been doing a load of his value studies, and I just wanted to get a picture done because my goal is a picture a day. And so I did a couple in my sketchbook just to test out the paper. And this one I think came out rather well. The trees aren't too bad, the sky's rather nice, and I like the contrast of the blue and the brown. And then I just bunged one bird in there just for the atmosphere. And I think I really quite like this one. I might frame it. And then I immediately tried to do another one. And I don't know, it's not the same. It's not as good, I don't think, but it's still pretty interesting. My daughter's had both of those away now. She came yesterday, and I call her the art bandit because she comes and looks through my finished pictures and takes away the ones she likes. And she's got she wants to cover a whole wall of Mars pictures, which is rather sweet. Ah, okay. So this was Yong Chen. I really like Yong Chen's tuition. He's a 30 odd years standing art professor. He's got the most gorgeous soft voice, which is very reassuring. He only paints with three colours, which is so incredibly disciplined. And he's very reassuring and encouraging to new painters. And this was one of the ones where I painted along with him. And I'm really pretty pleased with this. It's nothing exciting or life-changing or revolutionary, but I think it's really captured the scene and the birds wheeling above and the dog chasing the seagull. And I was pretty pleased with that. So this is again one of Yong Chen's tuitions, the barn with the mountains. Let's just go back to that for a second. Yeah, this was about distance and painting mountains in the background. I was quite pleased with the trees and the foreground. The barn got overpainted, but what a beautiful shape that old barn is. I'll be having another go at that. Trees, the mountains in the backgrounds are nice because they look very much off in the background. But again, I can't seem to paint mountains without making them all the blooming same. So they all look a bit odd. They could be clouds. I could tell people they're clouds, but they're too regular for clouds. Anyway, we'll move on and paint it again because I like that one. And this was one I painted from one of the books I got, either the Campbell Smith or Roland Hilda books. And it was a, paint along. And I think it came out all right. In the book, it wasn't so many colours. The houses weren't so many colours. And now I look at it, yeah, if you tilt your head so that you're on the same angle as the picture, it is sort of straight. But there was such a beautiful old building, but I ruined it by trying to put too many colours into it. And again, triangular mountains in the background, two triangular mountains in the background. That's another recurring theme that I have to watch out for. Right, this is a Scott Swinson inspired picture of Stupa, looking to the right-hand side of the bay as you're sitting in the Five Brothers or Tostecki's, if you know the bar. And there's a weird sort of promontory that comes down into the sea, and it's got this sort of weird bush that looks like a dragon's head. Now, if I'd made it look like a bush instead of like a vulture, it would have worked quite well, I think, because I think, the sea's not bad, the sky's not bad, the distance isn't bad, so try harder on the bush, Nicola. Again, a Scott Swinson inspired picture. I absolutely love this one, Snowy Mountains. I think my daughter's had that one away. I was going to frame it because I do like it, the simplicity of it, and I love those combination of colours. Appalling. Where did it go wrong? How can I go from one picture that I quite like to this? I mean, it's a couple sitting on the beach, but the brushwork in the sea and the sand, it's very clunky and clumsy. They have got shadows though, look. No sun there. Anyway, I just put that in there to show you that, sometimes you have a bad day. And then I quite like this one. I was using up the paint from the previous one and just trying to paint a little abstract landscape, and I think that one came out quite nicely. Nearly there now. This was the view from my window the other night. If you look up go onto my balcony and look up to the right, there's sort of quite a stark houses silhouette there, and I was trying to capture the colours in the sky. This is Stupa again. Yeah, I really like this one. It was more about, it's about reflections, this one. It was definitely a Scott Swinson tutorial on reflections, and I'm just calling it Moon over Stupa. And it's simple, but I think the sea worked really well in this one. Another Scott Swinson inspired tutorial. And then I was trying to do a sky a day for a while, and this was okay. It didn't, stand out. I remember what happened. I got really cheesed off because I started painting and realised there was a flaw in the paper. So as I did my headland, that line appeared right here in the paper, and I didn't like it. So I got fed up with that picture pretty quickly. But I'm pleased with the sky, and the sea's not too bad. Then I had a go at painting from a Turner book, actually. And I think I got the buildings better from my last attempt, but they were a bit crude because I hadn't drawn it out first. I was literally just winging it and just trying to get another sky done. And I was really quite pleased with the sky, and then I was really quite pleased with the buildings, although some of them could have been, especially in the middle there, they were a bit crude looking, whereas I think the two spiky buildings are pretty good. But then I came along and painted a gondola, and I'm now calling it the Dementor gondola because it's too dark, as you can see, too dark for the picture. It just jumps out. If I'd made it a little bit more faded back, or a little bit bluer rather than blacker, or a little bit, yeah, bluer would have been better, wouldn't it? Or perhaps a little bit brown with some blue touches. It seems to me it looks clunky, but I will be having another go at that and trying to make the buildings better and the gondola less clunky. We're coming to the end now. That's one of my favourite pictures so far. That's why I framed it. It's a Scott Swinson inspired painting of Stupa at sunset, and that's the house and jetty there. You'll see this as a recurring theme as we go along, but I was just really pleased with that. I felt it was quite expressive, it was quite loose, it summoned up, you could tell it's a sunset, and the buildings are sort of faded and with a bit of reflection. So I was pretty pleased with that one. And then this was just an imaginary landscape from Scott Swinson's tutorials, but I really liked. I'm not so happy with the clunky blue bit in the middle of the sea there. I'd like to perhaps pull it out, pull it out of the frame and perhaps take that back a bit, knock that back a bit with a damp brush and see if I can get some less clunkiness in that blue bit in the sea. But I'm very pleased with the sky, and the little birdies I think added to it quite nicely. I love doing birdies. This is another one of Stupa Jetty. I was trying to do a value study of the faraway hills, too high. They don't look anything like that high. And then there are these two promontories that come down into the sea. And then again, we've got the house with the jetty. And yeah, it's the thing that spoils this one for me is I went with the greeny sea right in the in front of that harbour arm, and it's a different colour to the rest of it. If I'd kept it a bit more like the rest of it, I think I would have been more pleased with that picture. But there you go. It's in a frame. And this is my most recent picture that I'm pleased with. I absolutely love Thomas Schaller, and I was following along with one of his painting videos where he painted a boat in Greece. I can't remember where it was. I think it was, it might have been Sicily. But it's Mediterranean, and I really want to crack the Mediterranean lighting. And it was at the gloaming time, when you sit and have an ouzo overlooking the harbour, and there was all these reflections. And I think it was the first time that I'd tried to follow along with the way he does his washes. And I think it worked quite well, but it wasn't dark enough. It was quite a dark painting, and the reflections of the lights look much better in his, of course, because he's a master artist. But I ruined it completely. I think I could live with all of that, but I ruined it completely when I put the motor on the back of the boat, and it just came out too black, too hard, too black. And I should have really started with a lighter colour and built up on that one, because that ruined the whole thing. But not to be daunted, because I loved the rest of it, I chopped off all the annoying reflections and the annoying motor on the boat, and I just put that into a frame. And I really love the shape of this boat, but I'm looking at it on the wall now and I'm thinking that yellow colour on the side makes it look like the sun's shining on that. And if the sun was shining on that, the shadow and the reflection would not be in front, it would be behind the boat. So I think I'm going to need to have another go at that one. But it's actually the first thing I've painted that I really think I'm getting there on the there's lost and found edges. There's negative painting on the contraption at the front there, and I like the way the colours all merge into each other. So could use somewhere for him to sit, I expect, but we'll have a go at that next time. I hope you enjoyed this race through 100+ paintings in 100 days, and I hope you'll see that I am starting to get better, and I think anyone can if they just start watching YouTube videos, start trying to emulate what they see, find the artists that you really, really like and try and emulate their style. So I'm looking at Oliver Pyle for landscapes. His landscapes are fabulous, especially stones and seas and headlands. I'm looking at Thomas Schaller for his treatment of beautiful stone buildings and the way he sees other colours in everything. And then Yong Chen for his patient, soft, gentle tuition, step by step through all kinds of manner of things. I don't even remember the watermelon. That was one of his tuitions as well. And it really encouraged me. So look for people who teach you how to paint in the style that you want to paint eventually, because I know what I want to end up like. I want to be like a Thomas Schaller kind of Turner kind of John Singer Sargent. I absolutely love all those painters, and they've got a certain softness about them and a certain way with colour that I really love. So try and find the people to learn from that teach you how to paint in a way that you want to end up painting, with a few deviations along the way. So where I knew that I wanted to paint looser, I went looking for a teacher who could teach me how to be more bold and expressive. And Scott Swinson definitely did that. Look out his courses. They're very, very affordable, as are his paintings, in fact. And yeah, just have fun with it. And I'd love to see how you're getting on. So do feel free to drop your link to your channel in the comments, and I'd love to come and have a look at your stuff, because we're all in this together, and I might be starting late, but I hope I'm going to catch up quick. So I hope to see you back on the channel. I'm aiming for a video every week, so watch out for that and subscribe so you get notifications. Speak soon.